Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're looking closely at ReShape Lifesciences based on the materials you sent our way. Our goal is to unpack the recent volatility and really understand the underlying story with this company. You've shared information covering technical analysis, their financials, and some key news items, so let's get right into it.
Sounds good. It's a fascinating case study, ReShape Lifesciences. The information you've compiled certainly points to a company at a critical juncture, and as we often see, that kind of transition is reflected pretty clearly in the stock's performance.
Let's jump into that performance then. The documents highlight some, dramatic price action. A 348.90% surge in a single day, followed by some significant pullbacks. What factors typically drive such extreme volatility, and what should someone observing this kind of movement consider?
Well, what stands out here is the likely catalyst for that initial spike. The sources mention an FDA development related to their lap-band 2.0 FLEX product. For a company of this size, positive regulatory news can act as a significant trigger, drawing in considerable buying interest very quickly. However, that rapid inflation of price can also lead to equally rapid deflation as early investors take profits or as the market just recalibrates its expectations. For an observer, it really underscores the inherent risks involved and the potential for substantial price swings, both up and down.
Right, and accompanying those price swings was high trading volume. Does this suggest strong fundamental interest, or is it more likely, speculative trading fueled by the volatility itself?
Elevated volume typically indicates heightened engagement with the stock. That's true. In this instance, given the sharp price changes around a specific news event, it's probably a combination of both. Some investors are reacting to the news itself, while others are likely trying to capitalize on the price momentum. It's just important to remember that high volume during volatile periods doesn't necessarily signal a sustained shift in long-term sentiment.
Got it. The sources also mentioned some technical indicators, the 50-day and 200-day moving averages. How would those recent dramatic price changes have likely affected these indicators? And what do they generally tell us about the short-term and long-term trends?
Okay, so considering the 50-day moving average, that sharp upward spike would have almost certainly pulled it up quite aggressively in the short term. However, with the subsequent decline, we'd likely see it flatten out or even begin to trend downwards again, reflecting that short-term instability.
Right.
The 200-day moving average, being a measure of longer-term price action, would be less sensitive to just a single day's volatility. But the overall picture of significant past price declines likely keeps it at a lower level, suggesting a longer-term downward trend that the recent surge only temporarily interrupted.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting there are different types, like exponential moving averages, which give more weight to recent data, might show a slightly different picture short-term.
And what about the Relative Strength Index, the RSI? How would those rapid price shifts have likely impacted it? And what might a move back towards more neutral levels indicate?
Well, that massive price increase would almost certainly have propelled the RSI into overbought territory, typically above a reading of 70.
Okay.
This suggests the stock may have been trading at a price that wasn't sustainable in the immediate future. As the price has retreated, the RSI would also be correcting back towards more neutral levels, between 30 and 70.
Makes sense.
This could signal a period of consolidation where the extreme buying pressure has eased and the stock isn't considered overbought or oversold. It doesn't necessarily predict the next move, mind you, but it does suggest a decrease in that intense upward momentum. You could even look for divergences, perhaps.
Okay, so a lot of movement reflected in those technicals. Let's shift to the company itself. ReShape Lifesciences is described as a medical device company focused on weight loss and metabolic health. What are the key products in their portfolio?
The sources highlight a couple of primary products. They have the ReShape balloon system, which is a non-surgical dual intragastric balloon system used to aid in weight loss.
Non-surgical, okay.
And they also offer the lap band adjustable gastric banding system, which is a surgical weight loss solution. It's also important to note that their market reach is global, with operations extending beyond the United States into regions like Australia and Europe.
Turning to their financial performance, the information you found shows $8.18 million in revenue over the last 12 months, but a significant net loss of $7.07 million and an EPS of national 17.51 cents. What does this significant difference between revenue and profit tell us?
Yeah, this is a crucial point for understanding the company's current situation. While they are generating sales, their operational expenses are considerably higher, leading to these substantial losses.
Right.
This could stem from various factors. like significant investments in R&D, maybe substantial sales and marketing costs, or potentially challenges in achieving economies of scale. This persistent lack of profitability, despite generating revenue, suggests potential fundamental issues with their business model. Are costs too high? Pricing not optimal? Are they struggling with market penetration? These are key questions.
Definitely. Interestingly, their debt-to-equity ratio is listed as 0%. What are the potential implications of having no debt relative to their equity?
A zero debt-to-equity ratio presents a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it signifies financial stability in that they aren't burdened by debt repayments or interest expenses, giving them flexibility.
Which sounds good.
It does. However, it might also indicate a missed opportunity to leverage debt strategically to fuel growth. Taking on strategic debt can allow a company to invest more aggressively in R&D, marketing, or even acquisitions, potentially accelerating growth beyond what they could achieve solely with their existing equity.
Okay, that makes sense. The sources point out some potential red flags and strengths. Among the red flags are the significant net losses we mentioned, the high stock price volatility, and a relatively small market capitalization. Why are these seen as red flags?
Well, as we've touched on, consistent net losses raise concerns about the company's long-term sustainability in its current form, right?
Right.
The high stock volatility introduces a significant level of risk for investors. Rapid price declines can erode capital quickly. And a limited market cap often translates to lower trading liquidity, making it potentially harder to buy or sell shares easily, and the stock price can be more susceptible to large trades or shifts in sentiment.
Conversely, the strengths mentioned include innovative non-surgical weight loss products, recent FDA clearances, and a diversified portfolio with both device-based and digital health solutions. How do these strengths measure up against those red flags?
These strengths definitely offer a glimpse of potential. Their focus on less invasive weight loss solutions could tap into a significant market.
That market is growing, isn't it?
It is, and FDA clearances are critical milestones that validate their products. Having a diversified approach can provide some resilience too, but the key is whether these strengths can ultimately translate into improved financial performance that offsets the current red flags. Innovation is great, but you need a path to profit.
Got it. Moving to market sentiment and competition, the analysis you found indicates neutral to cautious analyst ratings. We also see names like Medtronic and Abbott as competitors. How might ReShape differentiate itself here?
The neutral to cautious sentiment likely reflects the market weighing that potential against the financial challenges. Competing with giants like Medtronic and Abbott requires a distinct strategy. They have huge resources.
Yeah, exactly.
ReShape seems to be focusing on a more specialized niche within weight loss, particularly with their minimally invasive and non-surgical options. That specialization could be their key differentiator, targeting a specific patient group.
Okay, let's delve into the future outlook and some significant recent developments. The biggest news appears to be the merger with Viome Therapeutics. Can you explain the key aspects of this merger and why it represents such a significant strategic shift?
Right. This merger with Viome Therapeutics marks a fundamental change in direction for ReShape. Essentially, the combined entity will operate under the name of Viome Holdings, and the primary focus will shift towards Viome's portfolio of immunoinflammatory assets.
Immunoinflammatory. So completely different.
Completely different. This means the weight loss and metabolic health focus that defined ReShape is being significantly de-emphasized in favor of this new therapeutic area.
Wow. This seems connected to the asset sale to Bio-Rad Medices then. They're selling off assets, including Lap-Band and Obalon systems, for $5.16 million. How does this sale align with the merger?
Yeah, the asset sale appears to be a direct consequence of that strategic pivot. By divesting their existing weight loss product lines, ReShape is likely aiming to streamline, free up capital, and fully commit to the upcoming merger and the new direction. It suggests a complete transformation.
A total reset, almost. We also noted a 1-for-58 reverse stock split. Could you quickly explain the typical reasons for doing that?
Sure. A reverse stock split consolidates shares, so for every 58 shares you held, you now hold one. The most common motivation is to boost the per-share stock price to meet minimum listing requirements, like for Nasdaq, which the source material mentioned.
Right, to avoid delisting.
Exactly. Sometimes companies also hope it improves the stock's perception, as a very low price can look bad. But crucially, it doesn't inherently change the company's underlying value.
Understood. On a potentially positive note, the company received a patent grant in Israel for diabetes neuromodulation technology. How might this development be viewed in the context of all these other changes?
Well, even though the company's main strategic direction is shifting with the merger, this patent grant still represents potentially valuable intellectual property. It's possible this technology could be out-licensed or developed later, maybe adding value to the new Viome holdings. It's just a reminder that even during big shifts, prior innovations can still hold future promise.
Interesting point. Finally, the sources indicate reported revenue growth in Q2 and Q3 of 2024 and an improved gross profit margin in Q3. Do these positive signs outweigh the earlier concerns we discussed?
Well, there are certainly encouraging signs, particularly the improved gross profit margin that suggests better efficiency in their existing operations before the full merger effects. But it's essential to consider them within the larger context of the significant net losses and the impending merger.
Right, the historicals might not mean much soon.
Exactly. The historical financial performance of the weight loss business might become less indicative of the future performance of Viome Holdings, focused on a different area. So these improvements are positive, but they don't necessarily negate the inherent risks associated with such a massive transformation and the past financial challenges.
Okay, so taking all this in, you can see that ReShape Life Sciences presents a multifaceted picture. There's evidence of innovation and potential in their original product lines.
Definitely.
And the recent strategic moves like the merger and asset sale are clearly significant. However, the financial losses and substantial stock volatility remain important factors to consider.
Absolutely.
The information we looked at suggests a cautious stance for now, emphasizing the need to observe for signs of stabilization.
Yeah, that seems prudent. Wait and see how this transition plays out.
This situation really underscores how a variety of factors, from technical trading dynamics to fundamental financials and major corporate events, all contribute to a company's overall narrative. We hope this breakdown provides you with a clear perspective on the information you shared. Please remember to conduct your own thorough research before making any investment decisions. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe, like, and comment. We appreciate the feedback.